Hola, welcome back to Witches of the Moon. This is season 11, week 12. I am the Humble Apprentice, your Friday host, and this week's topic is how to. So, I was looking at my smudge sticks, and I was thinking that it would be really cool to have a smudge for Mabon or Mabon. So that is what we are going to make tonight. Now, in order for me to get the proper plants associated with the season or with the intention that I want, I researched a little bit on moon magic, complete formulas for magical oils, Cunningham's The Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews, and also the Llewellyn Book of Correspondences. Now, you don't have to research books. You can also go by your intuition. What is in season or what's ready to be harvested is usually a really good indication of what you can use at that time for the celebration you're going to be making your smudge sticks for. I like to use cleansing and purification if that's what I'm going to be using the smudge sticks for. So I've got a list here of some of the correspondences and some of the different deities that like to work with certain plants or are associated traditionally with certain plants. And today we're going to be using some apple leaves, which are associated with the goddess Venus, Aphrodite, Diana, and they increase magic and are good for divination. They are also good for fairies and fairy work. We are also using aster, which is associated with Mabon, the goddess Venus, the fairies, and it is good for release, to release stress, for truth, calm, and love. And of course, goldenrod, because goldenrod is just blooming right now. And goldenrod is associated also with Venus, with beauty, divination, luck, wealth, and prosperity. And now we have yarrow. I always put yarrow in my smudge. Yarrow is associated with Carnunos, the fairies, beauty, blessings, divination, clairvoyance, healing, purification, love, and magic. I try to overlap the properties so that they can increase the strength of the smudge, the purpose that I need to create the smudge for. Now, this is wild wormwood or wild sage, prairie sage, Artemisia ludwicana, and this is so all the Artemisias are associated with Artemis, Diana, and so the correspondences are very similar, and they include clairvoyance. They are good for consecrating. They're good for love, magic, protection, visions, and for releasing. And I also have here a grape leaf, a wild grape leaf, and that is also for Mabon, for the goddess Hathor, Bacchus, Dionysus, Mabon, and Saturn. Also to work with fairies. It is good for abundance, clarity, fertility, growth. It's good for prophecy, prosperity, and transformation. And I have this wonderful, like, lemon scented geranium. They call it citronella, but it's a geranium. And this geranium is for balance, beauty, confidence, courage, happiness, harmony, healing, magic, strength, success, and wisdom. We're also going to add some juniper, and that is associated with Balder, Loki, Hel, Holly, the Morrigan, and Ran, or Ron. And it's good for increasing action, to banish, it calms, it increases your defense, it protects you. It's good for divination, energy, dream work, fertility, happiness, healing, increases your psychic abilities. It's good for purification and transformation. And the apple, for the apple, I'm going to use both crab apple and the larger apple tree that I have in the front. Oh, yes, you can use either fresh or dried herbs. Now, some of the herbs, if they're dried, they can crack and it'll be harder to wrap, but they will also dry faster. And you have to make sure that they dry quickly so that they don't go moldy. So the center ones don't mold. I haven't had that issue even when it's been raining. So to begin with, I tried to make the piles of the items that I'm going to use, and I cut them to the size I am going to be using, all of them into a similar length. So the largest smudge stick I'm going to make is going to be about this 6 to 9 inches. You don't need it really long. And I don't like the really fat smudge sticks because they take a long time to light. And the center doesn't burn as quickly. So another thing is to use the skinnier, thinner branches, the fresher, newer growth, because that also has more of the natural oils, plus it burns faster than when you use the thicker stalks or older, more mature growth. And I'm going to make 2 piles right here I'm going to be making 2 different smudge sticks here. So we have, and what's really nice about this wild sage, or just wormwood sage, is that it's quite flexible, and even though it's dry, it doesn't crack or break. It's still fresh enough that it's going to hold, the integrity of the leaves are not gonna break as you're wrapping. So yeah, I do try to have the white leaves on the outside because that, I find it is more traditional. People are very used to seeing the sage like leaves on the outside, but I just like it. I like the contrast with the green and the white, and they will age and they will change color. Not the white ones, but all the other green ones will. And here I have some dried yarrow, which will be the little floral focal point there. And over here we're going to have the aster as the focal point. Here we have a couple of yarrow leaves. I'm going to put 2 on each smudge. For the apple leaves, I will put 2. Now, you can either leave the little stem in or take it out. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to use mostly the thinner plant material. And I'm going to place 2 apple leaves on each of these smudge sticks here. Now, in remembering what the properties are that we are trying to add to the smudge, the properties that we want to come forth when we use the smudge stick: for cleansing, for purifying the air, for increasing our ability to connect to the spiritual realm. So as I place each one, if I can't remember what each specific plant adds to the smudge, I read over my notes, and that's what I try to put in as I'm cutting and placing each of the elements onto the smudge stick. So I think the flowers add a very nice element here, and make sure that you have something to cut with so that you cut it down to the size that you need. Now, please be very careful and know what plants you're using. You do not want to inhale any toxic fumes. You do not want to inhale anything that's going to be noxious or poisonous. So you have to be careful and be very familiar with the plants that you're using. So you can feel comfortable using like peppermint or any plants that you've grown for using in the kitchen, like sage, like real cooking sage. That is a wonderful herb. I love to make smudge from that. I love to use it in cooking. You can use rosemary, you can use thyme, anything that you can eat, you can definitely put into your smudge. So these are, oh yeah, I also have pine. Pine is very cleansing and purifying. But I like to use it more for Yule, but we'll add a couple of 3 pine needles to each one. Now this one's looking kind of a little bit larger than this one. That's okay. They do not have to be exactly the same size. Please note that the berries may not burn when you're burning your smudge. And to wrap it, I use natural cotton twine, and something without any color, so it's not dyed, because you do not want to be inhaling fumes of any toxic chemicals. So make sure that it's natural and it's cotton, because then it burns and it doesn't melt. Polyester thread, polyester yarn will melt, and you don't want to be inhaling those fumes. So this is just regular cotton. Now when I started at the bottom, and I just take my bundle here, and I'm going to, it doesn't have to be perfect. The most important thing is that you have the plants that signify, that mean something to you. plants that are growing around you, plants that you have grown, have all your love and all your attention and all your expectations. Everything that you poured into them is what you're going to get back from them. So knowing that grape is abundance, and grape, you make wine from grapes. They're nutritious, they're healing. Sage, that sage is cleansing and purifying and cleaning and clearing. And then the aster is about fertility, and it smells wonderful, and it has all these beautiful purple colors that I associate with the crown chakra, or something that makes me feel happy, and the color is so vibrant, and it's one of the few colors that are coming to life, whereas most other plants are going to sleep. They're becoming going into a state of dormancy. So think of all that when you are building your smudge. And okay, so now it's time to put the leaves under the twine. And what I do is, in order for the twine, for you to be able to knot the twine, you make like your regular knot. You go under, and then you go under one more time, because now it's not going to slide back when you make your next knot over it. So it is going to be like a square knot, but when you double, when you go over or under twice, then it stays, it won't slide, and then you can make your next knot. And if you notice, I didn't make it very long, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna, so you might want to make it longer, because I might have to add a chunk of yarn to this. So I will just go under, then bring it back up, and when I go under, I try to push it up towards the other side about an inch. You don't want to go too far, because so once and then twice. And if you're going to count your knots, you can also do, some knot magic at the time when you're wrapping, and set your intention for what you want to bring into this new season, what you want to release from the old season. Okay, so and nothing has to be perfect. It just has to be made with the greatest of love, and with the idea of what you want to create. So and here we're just going to make a little knot. So when you make yours, just make it long enough so that you can have enough to tie your little smudge stick. And we could trim these down. I'll trim these down with scissors later on, once we're done with this. Okay, so now we're going to wrap it over under again, about 1 inch. We're going to go over and make the other side about the same length. And yes, I am burning incense, and this is a time for me to relax, a time for me to think about the season ahead, what I want to work on, what my goals are for the next 3 to 4 months. So now we've got 2 very long okay, so remember to make it go over under twice. So that was once, and this is the second time. And now when I tie it, it will stay tight. And now I can make the other one so that it is a square knot. And so as they burn, your smudge won't fall apart. Not all the way anyway. And notice that I use thinner leaves. The thickest one is, I believe, the grape leaves and the geranium. But everything else is very thin and very lightweight. That way everything dries at a similar pace. So here we go. You've got the long one. So we go over and pull it out, and then go over again. Pull it out. Okay, so one of the really big reasons that I started making my own smudge sticks, because we are, when our entire nation believes that one material is really good for using in a certain practice, then millions of people start buying this one product. And that's happening right now with the white sage and with the Palo Santo. So we are purchasing a lot of this material, and it is being over harvested in many places. So in order to avoid being part of that over harvesting, and also because this has so much power, making your own with your own intention for what it is you want this smudge stick to do for you. Yes, Palo Santo and sage are wonderful. They cleanse, they clean, but so is this, so are these plants. And not only do they cleanse and clean, but they also will help in increasing my ability to focus and bring the powers of divination, abundance, love, fertility, cleansing, to my practice, to the work that I'm doing. And not only is it more economical because they, just grow outside in the wild, but I have a very good feeling about this because I am not contributing to a practice of over harvesting and not respecting the ability of the earth to, or giving the earth time to recuperate, for the plants to grow back in a normal way, in a natural I feel like I'm a good influence in working with the earth. This is a nature-based, for me, this is a nature-based religion, and we need to work in tune with the planet, with nature, with giving it time to replenish, just like we need time to replenish, time to grow, time to bring back the abundance we need to stay healthy. So here it didn't take that much time. And we have our smudge. You could go all the way, but I really like to have a little bit of the plants just, wild there. And when I started, you don't need to burn a whole lot of it. You can if you're cleansing your entire house. And at the end, I do a third knot. And the reason I have this written down is because when I use this, I'm going to know exactly what I put in it. And once we trim these, and you can actually leave them and hang it up to dry from this, or just place it somewhere on your altar so that it could dry. You can trim some of these little branches and leaves just to give it a little haircut so that it's more aesthetically pleasing to your eye. So yeah, there's one. Yeah, we need to be part of the solution of what we're, of what we want in our lives and around us and in the world. And we have all this creative power, and all this abundance around us. We just need to find different ways to use it and reclaim our power to create what we need, not just feel like we have to run out and order something. You don't even have to wait 2 days to receive this. You just have to wait for it to dry. And there is such a beautiful feeling in having something that you made yourself. It's like store-bought versus homemade. There's just a greater connection to items that you harvested, that you grew, that you connected with, and then you create this beautiful item that you're going to offer to your spiritual guides, or offer to your higher self, or offer to the work that you're going to be doing. Anyway, I hope that this has been helpful and that you can create something like this Mabon smudge stick for yourself. And maybe you can even make it prettier, you know, put stuff that you like, that you enjoy. Like I said, be safe. Only use plants that you are very familiar with, something that you would eat, or something that you know is not toxic. But yeah, help yourself. That's why the earth is providing this abundance for us. We just need to reach out and accept it. Thank you very much for watching. I am the Humble Apprentice here on Witches of the Moon. Have a great weekend, and blessed be.